Good morning, everyone. My name is James, and I'm the Division Special Assistant for the Water Supply Division here at TCEQ. Welcome to our October 14th Drinking Water Advisory Work Group, or DWAWG. Some short reminders before we get started. I've posted the agenda in the chat, so please feel free to take a look at that as we go through the meeting. If you're attending in person and you're not with TCEQ, we do have a sign-up sheet. If you're in person, please make sure to mute your audio and your cell phones just in case. The microphones in the middle of the room will be live, so please be aware. If you want to have any conversations, there's a little breakout room to the side. We have a good agenda today, so we'll go ahead and get started. First up, we'll go to the Texas Water Development Board. We have Keita with us. So if you want to hop on and we'll get rolling.
Good morning, everybody. This is Keta with the Water Development Board. Just some quick updates. We are getting ready to start working on our project solicitations for our federal programs, as well as a couple of our state programs. Those open up all in December, and we usually, allow for a few months for folks to submit those applications. On the federal side, those applications are called project information forms, and on the state side, those are called abridged applications. The state programs are two, which is our flood infrastructure fund. So we hadn't solicited for that particular program in 2 years because we were running on a 2-year cycle. And then for the SWIFT, those are all our projects in a state water plan. On the federal side are state revolving funds that also include those additional programs of lead service line and emerging contaminants. Those two programs, along with the supplemental funds that we got for our regular activities under both state revolving funds, that was just for a 5-year period. We're almost at the tail end of those allocations. So once those are gone, we don't have any money in those programs anymore, but we continue to have money in a state revolving fund. We're also working on the implementation of House Bill 500, and that was some additional one-time money that the state legislature appropriated to the agency that involves money to address some infrastructure issues, some money that's going to go into our federal program as a match. The more match we get, we provide the more match that we get. We're also, depending on how the voters go for Senate Bill 7, which was House Joint Resolution 7, goes out to the voters November the 4th. So as of right now, that is kind of, we wait until we receive, the direction, and as well as how the voters are going to decide on that. On House Bill 500, that money's already been appropriated. It's a one-time. There's approximately about 1.3 billion available. Depending on how quickly we can implement that, then we'll make an announcement on our webpage, as well as provide some additional announcement through our newsletters and stuff like that. We do have a workshop coming up. We have one in Corpus Christi. That workshop is Regional Financial Assistance Workshop. I invite anybody that's in the Corpus area or would like to go out and, just participate and listen into the workshop. Those workshops consist of us providing information on our programs. We cover all the programs, how to access those programs, basically what each program entails, what type of infrastructure activities are allowed per program. And it also gives us the opportunity to visit those regions and do one-on-one on those folks that want to discuss their specific projects. So in a nutshell, that's what's been going on over at our agency. Any questions for me?
Questions in the room? No, it doesn't look like it. Thank you for the update. And just a reminder for everyone else, please feel free to put any questions you have in the chat. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, well, keep moving along. Next up, we have Kelly with the Office of Compliance and Enforcement.
Good morning, guys. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Awesome. Well, good morning. I just wanted to kind of start off just saying that we did end our fiscal year, the FY25, at the end of August. So I figured I could go over some of our end of the year numbers of what our investigators did and throughout the year from pretty much September 1st of 2024 all the way to August 31st of 2025. So we did 2,072 CCIs across the state, and that includes both non-community and community water systems. And we also conducted 848 complaint responses. So these complaints could be anywhere from, my water pressure is low, help, come help me figure out the cause. We could have dirty water, discolored water. It could, it really varies all the time. So our investigators are out there doing different things every day. So it's always good to see that they're able to conduct so many and be successful in figuring out what the problems are. But at CCIs with community water systems in the last 3 years, we've actually been able to conduct 99.9% or CCIs at 99.9% of all active water systems, which is great. It's an improvement from what we've done in the past. So yay. We've been getting better and better every single year, so I can't wait to see where FY26 brings us. But I did want to touch on, too, some of the most common violations that our investigators see in the field are under 290.46, which is where we see a lot of our record keeping violations, and then also where maintenance violations come into play. So just keep in mind, when you guys are cited or if you're ever cited a violation, keep in contact with that investigator so we can make sure we get those violations resolved and taken care of, and we can work with you guys as much as we can. And then always our regional offices are open, if you guys want to visit, come hang out, or come, meet some of your your water staff, or if you ever have any phone call or questions, you can always give them a phone call. If you're scheduled for an investigation and you have no idea what's going on, feel free to reach out, and you can always call me as well. I was an investigator before I became the liaison for OCE, so I'm pretty familiar with the investigative process and can help you guys if you do have any questions. But with that, I'll pass along to the next person unless you guys have some questions for me.
All right. Any questions for Kelly in the room? No. All right. Thank you, Kelly. I appreciate it.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Okay. Next up, we have occupational licensing, and we have Teresa here with us in the room, and I'll see if I can zoom that.
Hi, everybody. Can you all hear me okay?
Yeah, can't hear online.
Okay. So the biggest thing going on in occupational licensing is the rulemaking package. We just finished the 89th legislative session and several bills passed. And so it is opening up our rules. And along with that, there was a petition that was filed about a year ago regarding ethics. And so there's going to be a discussion on October 20th. That's a stakeholder meeting at 10 a.m. And we're asking everybody to attend, especially so they can hear what's going on. It's mainly discussions. It's nothing that's going to actually have the rule language or anything like that. They're mostly going to talk about the ethics petition that was put into play, kind of get some feedback. Right now, the petition states something like 4 hours of ethics during the validity period of a license, and what that would entail, if that's a good idea, bad idea, and if you think it's a bad idea, what kind of other solutions you might have, like an hour a year, so 3 hours for the each year of the validity period of the license, etc. Again, it's just discussions right now. They want y'all to submit some comments. You can do so ahead of time. You can do it anonymously. We do have the rulemaking package link on our website. If you go to the occupational licensing page, it's at the top of the page. You can also just attend the meeting without making any comments, just to hear the discussions that are going on in the background. And then there were several bills that did pass during the 89th legislative session that they're going to memorialize and rule. Those will be discussions that are also taking place during the stakeholder meeting. However, it's not going to be discussions like, what can we do? How can we implement this? It's just going to be implemented. They're, legislative actions, and so they're going to be moving forward. And it's just to give you some more information about those bills. Just to kind of cover a few of them, or maybe all of them if I have time. The big bill, all of them are pretty big, but this one's the biggest one, is extending the renewal license period for individuals. Right, it went into effect September 1st, 2025. Prior to that, the rules required individuals to renew their license no later than 30 days after the license expiration date. That window of time is opening up to 180 days after the license expiration date. And depending on when the renewal application is submitted, you will have to pay extra fee. This does not open the validity period of the license. The license still remains a 3-year license, and any continuing education hours needs to be completed during that 3-year period. So anything between the effective date of the license and the expiration date of the license needs to be taken for continuing education. You need to use that time for continuing education. The 180 days just allows you, to submit the renewal application during that time frame. The bill also allows individuals to engage in tasks that would require the license, even if the license is expired for up to 90 days. We are not updating the system. The license will remain expired during that time frame. It's just an enforcement situation. They'll be able to engage during that time and then, get their ducks in a row, get the renewal application in, et cetera, and then hopefully get renewed before that 90th day. Otherwise, the license will remain expired and then they'll have to go through the reinstatement process. Make sure. So the breakdown for the additional fees, 1 day after the expiration date up to 89 days, the additional fee will be 1.5 times the regular amount. And individuals pay a separate amount than companies pay. So it just depends on what the regular amount is for the license that you're trying to renew or the registration that you're trying to renew. And then from 90 days to 180 days past the expiration date, the fee would be 2 times the regular amount that's due. This will apply to all licenses that expired September 1st, 2025 and going forward. So anything that expired prior to that date is going to fall under the old rule, where they still had to complete their hours, submit their application within 30 days of the license expiration date, et cetera. Does anybody have any questions about the 180-day extension?
No questions online?
The other bill that passed, House Bill 5629 and Senate Bill 1818, had to do with military reciprocity. And basically, it's just kind of reframing the way that we view those applications for reciprocal licenses. When we get the application for reciprocity, if we cannot approve or send a deficiency letter or issue the license, we will issue a provisional license or a temporary license that will only be valid for 180 days or until a license can be issued. The other thing is right now reciprocity was viewed as apples for apples. So we compared requirements to requirements. These bills will change the scope, change it to us issuing a license based on the scope of the out-of-state license. So we need to make sure that the scope is similar in nature to the license that they are applying for. The other thing with the bills for military is that initially we would waive the fee for an initial license, and now it's opening it up to any new license applications. The fee will be waived. So a person can apply for 5 licenses and the fee will be waived on all 5 applications. Now, if they're renewing a license, they still have to pay the appropriate fees for that. And make sure I covered everything. It also changes our timeframes to process applications more expeditiously. So we were processing them already pretty quickly, but now we have like a 10-day timeline that we're working with. So we've got some checks and balances in place to try to catch those military applications straight away. And we're making every effort to process them quickly already. We don't foresee any problem with us meeting that 10-day deadline. Anybody have any questions about the military bill?
Michelle has a question.
I'm just curious about what volume you're seeing, how many people are coming in to you?
The question for those online was about the volume.
The volume of reciprocity application?
Or military, yeah.
I don't have the answer for that. They're peppered in there, I can tell you that much. We get some every day. I just don't know how many. And a lot of times they don't have the an out-of-state license necessarily. They're just applying for the license outright, using their experience, any applicable experience, and taking the required training typically is what I'm seeing. But we do on occasion see a number. Any other questions?
Not online.
That's okay.
Sure.
Regarding the ethics petition that was submitted, the deadline for registration for public comment is on October 16th. I will be posting the link into the meeting chat on Teams here shortly. My name is Kenny Smith. I'm with the Occupational Licensing Training Team, but I'll be posting it in the chat, and it'll have the link to the webpage where you can find a copy of the petition, as well as the link to register for public comment so you can get your input in there.
Thanks, Kenny.
On that note, we strongly encourage input. You know, your input is very important to us. We want to consider anything and everything. So definitely try to make every effort to attend at the very least, if not to also provide us with some comments. And to that also resolutions. If you disagree with the way the petition is worded and you have another solution, please offer that in your comment as well. Moving on, the next bill that passed was Senate Bill 1080, and it has to do with automatic revocation. The bill didn't affect licensing agency requirements to revoke a license on the license holder's imprisonment. It didn't change very much of what we already do. It just gave us more ability to make some revocations where we felt that they were needed. We are still following the guidelines of RG 521 when it comes to criminal history and the revocation process and denial of a license, etc. So if you have any questions about how we review criminal history, I highly encourage you to visit the Occupational Licensing page and go to the Criminal History Information tab. And the RG 521 is down towards the bottom of the page. Initially, it'll open up to fingerprints. It's a lot of instructions. Just scroll down towards the bottom of the page, and you'll get a lot of good information regarding criminal history reviews. Does anybody have any question about that bill?
Not online.
And then we're going to make some other minor changes just to make sure everything is consistent while we have the rules open, and just make sure we clean up some of the language that's in there during the whole rulemaking process. So there is a rulemaking timeline. I only have the stakeholder date. Everything else is to be determined. But the stakeholder meeting is going to be October 20th again. That's this coming Monday at 10 a.m. It's scheduled from 10 to 12. And then we'll have a draft rules, the finalization of draft rules. Well, it'll be taken to agenda for proposal. Again, these portions of the rulemaking process are to be determined. There's going to be a commenting period, a 30-day commenting period once it's been proposed to at agenda. Then there will be a hearing. And then TCEQ will respond to any of the comments that were submitted during the commenting period. And then it'll go to adoption, agenda for adoption. And then the rules will become effective. And I believe they're looking at springtime 2026 or summertime 2026 for all of this to play out. Any other questions for me? Maybe not regarding the rulemaking package.
Any other questions for Teresa?
Where are we on the fingerprinting requirement? Is that in place?
It's not going to be a requirement. It is a preferred method for TCEQ to receive criminal history. Unfortunately, it's not going to be put in rule after all. But I will say that it's been pretty successful. I mean, we've gotten across the board comments, and for the most part, they've been positive. A lot of people really like the aspect of one and done. They do have to pay an additional fee, but it's a one-time fee. It's our understanding that the subscription is lifetime as long as they have a license with TCEQ. It could go dormant, but we have the ability to make it active again. Once an application is submitted, whether for renewal or upgrading a license or trying to obtain a different kind of license, we'll always have access to those subscriptions. Individuals won't have to reinvent the wheel every time that they apply for a license. That subscription, the fingerprinting subscription, will be there for us to view. One of the things that did occur was we did go through an audit on June 1st, and DPS requires us to have our customers fill out an acknowledgement form along with completing an attestation if they're going to self-attest to their criminal history. So if they're not doing fingerprinting, they actually have to do two forms now, one for TCEQ and one for DPS. And we're finding that that's a little bit rough around the edges, if you will. A lot of people are not submitting the form or not submitting it correctly. But it is an acknowledgement form. It does need to be submitted with every application along with an attestation. You do need to enter your legal name, etc. So anyway, that's where we are with fingerprinting. I think it's a good idea. That's a personal opinion based on what I've heard, the feedback that I've heard from individuals that I have talked to. We have seen a substantial increase in fingerprinting. I don't have the percentages memorized. I didn't come to the table with the percentages, but I can get that for y'all if you would like.
We had one other item to share from the training team. So as everyone in this meeting is definitely aware, we have a looming, workforce shortage in the water and wastewater industries. But there's also a growing unprecedented opportunity for a new generation of water professionals to plug in and make a difference in their communities. So whether you're a current high school student, recent graduate, educator, job seeker, or industry veteran, there's a place for you in this movement. And TCEQ worked alongside a list of stakeholders that I'll highlight to create a website called texaswatercareers.com. The idea of this website is it's a centralized, user-friendly, mobile accessible website to showcase programs, certifications, apprenticeships, educational pathways, and as well as job opportunities for prospective workers and hiring utilities. We also will have links to relevant trainings for licenses and licensing information, including how to apply for a license. So the idea is it's a one-stop shop. If you're interested in the career in the water or wastewater industry, especially if you're younger, high school or early college, this website was set up to help those type of individuals. The initiative was spearheaded by Houston Galveston Greater Area Council, but we had help from TRWA, Texas AWWA, WHEAT, Texas Association of Water Board Directors, various water and wastewater utilities, the Texas Water Foundation, BGE Inc., Infomark, and TCEQ also played a small role in that. So really, if you check out that website. We just posted it into the chat. And if you're here in the room and you'd like a demo after this meeting, I'm happy to give that. If you don't see your utility on there and you're hiring or you have a vocational program, reach out to the HGAC team and I'll provide those emails or to us and we can get you added on there. If you're a member of AWWA or WEAT, you can also post through those associations. Those are linked directly onto that website. But hopefully this starts to help make a difference and getting more people interested into the fields. If you have any questions on that, please let us know. Along with that, we're also finalizing a searchable training database for current operators looking to get their CEUs. That will eventually replace our current training database, and you'll actually be able to search overlapping licenses. So if you have a water and a wastewater license and you're looking for a training that applies to both, you'll be able to you have a user-friendly interface to determine that. We'll also have live events and upcoming conferences. Those will appear and disappear as they're upcoming. So those can be an opportunity for CEUs. And then you can also search by what the hours that you're missing. So if you only need 6 or 8 hours, you don't have to go through our entire page. So that'll be demoed next time. We expect it to go live in between now and the next DWAWG. So those updates will come out through the licensing team.
Any questions for Chance on training? Okay, great. Anything else from ORN?
No, sir, I'm done.
Okay, excellent.
Any other questions?
No, I think we had a comment in the chat discussing fingerprinting, that they thought it was a very easy process. And like Chance said, Laura put that link in the chat.
Well, thank you for having us. And if y'all think of any questions later, just be sure to reach out to licenses@tceq.texas.gov.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. All right, we will move along. So this brings us to our water supply division section updates. So first up, we have Claire Carlton with our plan and technical review section.
Good morning, everyone. Kind of been a busy few months. I was introduced at the last DWAWG. It was my first DWAWG as the section manager for the plan and technical review section. And we've been busy. So I wanted to just cover a few changes that we've made in the section since the last DWAWG. So previously the section had 3 teams. One of those teams was the corrosion control and disinfection protocol team. We have dissolved that team and merged those staff into the technical review and oversight team and the plan review team. That's all a lot of words for y'all to say. We're still doing all the same things we're doing, just that we have 2 teams instead of 3 teams. Garrett Heathman was the team leader for the corrosion control and disinfection protocol team, and he is now the team leader for the plan and technical review team. So you'll be seeing his name if you haven't already seen his name out there underneath that team. And we, I guess we're working on a few changes throughout the section. Nothing specific to preview today for you guys, but we will probably have something at the next DWAWG. Anything we change that's in terms of like forms or checklists or anything like that, we will preview here and then also put on the website. So be on the lookout for those things. And we'll also try to work with firms, engineer firms and things like that we have on list to get that information out to them as well, since that's typically who we would see submittals from. And then just a few other things, you know, y'all know Texas is busy. We're kind of in the process of receiving a record number of submittals in our section. So last year, or compared from 24 to 25 FY, we received 680 total more submissions, and that's for plans, exceptions, and ACRs than we had in 2024. So just know that we are busy. We're working hard to get through the plans. Make sure you're reaching out to our proxy box if you have questions. I can put it in the chat. And then the main thing is, please be patient with us as we work through submittals. We're working through those as we receive them. And so be patient with us as we work to improve processes and get those plans back out to you guys. Any questions from anybody online? Thank you, guys.
All right, thank you, Claire. Next up, we have our drinking water special functions section with Stephen.
I feel like compared to Claire, I'm better prepared. Good morning, everybody. Glad to see you all again. Just a couple of announcements for my section. One is we are in the final stages of our CCR compliance. So I know everybody in this room has already done their CCRs. So I'm speaking to all of you online. Please submit your CCR if you have not already. We will be pulling the trigger on CCR compliance by the end of this month for sure. Also, more important, well, not more important, equally important is our 4-H compliance. 4-H is the violation code for submitting your COD to demonstrate that you had done the notices for lead, Gurlaroos, sorry. For whatever reason, I was on vacation last week, so I've already forgotten it. Lead, galvanized, requiring replacement, and unknowns, and making sure that you guys have done that notice to your customers. If you haven't done the notice and submitted this certificate of delivery to us, you will be getting a violation by the end of the month. And we're doing outreach right now. So if you're hearing from us and you think that you've submitted already, we're reaching out to you because we do not have it. And so we want to make sure that you all know you need to submit it. And I know everybody in this room has already done it. So for you guys. So the one other thing that I've got is Ryland Fields is going to be speaking a little bit later about the drinking water viewer that is up and running. I encourage y'all, while you're listening to the other presentations, not being distracted by it, but to go and take a look at the drinking water viewer and be ready to ask questions of Ryland so that we can dive deeper into all the capabilities of the tool. We think it's a lot better than what's out there right now, and we really want you guys to spend some time looking at it and giving us some feedback. If you don't want to do that while we're talking, that's fine. Do it while Ryland's talking. And if you don't want to do it then, go home, take a deep look at it, and send us your questions, because we really want to know. We have a lot of flexibility with this tool. We can put a lot of things out there, and we want to make sure that the things that you guys need to see are available to be seen. Just had a conversation just now with Ryland about some of the data related to like the field results. So like when our sampler goes out and takes a sample, whether or not those things are viewable. They are viewable, but it may be a challenge for people to find where they are because they're used to looking at Drinking Water Viewer or Drinking Water Watch. See, I've already forgotten Drinking Water Watch. So those are my 3 announcements. Pay close attention to Ryland when he talks a little bit later. Thank y'all. Any questions?
There was a question in the chat regarding that Laura just responded. The CUV
Yes.
just mentioned for notices of October 24 initial inventory.
Yes. And there's already an answer in there.
Yep.
So perfect. Thank you to whoever put that answer in there.
Good job. Thank you. All right. Next up, we have drinking water standards. And Laura has a presentation for us that I will.
Presentation is a bold.
We have some slides.
I love a visual, so I've put some visuals together. Let's call it that. Well, James is getting that set up. Good morning, everybody. My name is Laura Higgins. If you have never met me before, I am the section manager for the drinking water standards section. So our section really focuses on compliance with a lot of the drinking water regulations. So we have 3 teams within our section. We have the lead and copper monitoring team, the drinking water quality team, and the drinking water assessment team. And since I came up here and spoke to y'all in July at our last WAWG, we've had a fair amount of staffing changes since then. So I want to introduce, as part of our updates, some of our new staff. The biggest change is that we have 2 new team leaders. So you heard Claire talk about that she used to be the team leader for the drinking water assessment team, and now she is the section manager for the plan and technical review section. So that means I needed to get a new team leader for the drinking water assessment team. That new team leader is Jessica Miller. Jessica Miller had previously been one of our senior compliance officers within the drinking water assessment team. So we're really excited to see her advance in her career and move up into this new role. That's a picture of Jessica on the left. And on the right is a picture of our new lead and copper monitoring team leader, Lillian Johnson. Similarly, Lillian had also been a senior compliance officer within the lead and copper monitoring team. So equally as excited to watch her move up in her career. Lily is replacing Seth Kramer as the team leader. Seth left us mid-August for a brand new horizon and adventure. So we're excited to have Lily on board. The reason they're not here in the room this morning is because now they have the fun new opportunity to replace themselves. So they're off doing interviews to find new Natural Resource Specialist 5 compliance officers. On that note, we also have a new position that is currently posted, which is a Natural Resource Specialist 3 position. And that's going to be on Emily's team and the drinking water quality team to handle PFAS compliance. So that'll be focused on PFAS compliance for our upcoming PFAS role. But if we want to go to the next slide whenever you're ready, James.
Yes.
Just to mention some other new staff within the section. We've had a few new contractors and new full-time employees start. So within the drinking water assessment team, we have a new contractor, Matt Dove. Within the lead and copper monitoring team, we are actually taking over some staff from Claire's side. So Emily Moore is now a new member of our team, not new to the division, but new to our team. And then within the drinking water quality team, we have Catherine Wood, Krishna Winston, and Leah Ryan, who are our new team members as well, or at least new since our last DWAWG meeting. So we're happy to have them on board, and we'll be probably at the next DWAWG introducing you to 3 more staff members as well. But I think the only other thing I had in terms of updates, just because Stephen reminded me, is I'm going to take the opportunity to mention the Compliance Monitoring Data Portal, CMDP. So we've been working with all of our accredited laboratories to get them transitioned into this new portal to submit their data by November of this year. It is October. We've asked them to move in by November. So as water systems, as our regulated community, please make sure that your laboratories are working and intend to be transitioned in, fully reporting in CMDP in November of this year. To date, no laboratories have told us that they will not meet that deadline. So we are feeling pretty good that we're on track. I know that there's probably some strategic moves as to why we haven't had all of our laboratories move in already. I know folks have been updating their LIMS systems. Folks wanted to get through the lead and copper reduced monitoring period. They have other things that they're working on in order to be able to make that transition. But November is just around the corner. So make sure, pretty please, that all of your laboratories are in CMDP by November of 2025. One of the misconceptions that we keep hearing here and there are that folks are under the impression that they will begin transitioning in November, and that has never been the case. So once again, I'm here to tell you, please make sure that you are in and reporting. If you are a laboratory or systems, please work with your laboratories to make sure that they are in and reporting in CMDP by November of 2025. Stephen, is there anything else I need to say on that?
Make sure your lab is in by November 2025.
All right. Then the only other updates I will save for my presentation after we watch our presentation on Drinking Water Viewer. So that is it for standards for right now. Any questions at this time?
No questions in the chat, and camera's gone rogue.
full surveillance.
And I can't recall if we introduced him, but our new Lennon Testing School Child Care Coordinator in the back of the room, Emma, if you want to wave.
Hi, everyone.
Emmett, my sincere apologies for not introducing you.
No, happy to be here. If anyone has any questions on lead testing in school and childcare facilities, definitely let me know. Our website, just a quick plug, texasleadtesting.org. You'll find all of our contact information and information on our program. But yeah, again, I'm Emmett Tossan. Definitely feel free to reach out with any questions.
Perfect. We can put a link to y'all's website in the chat too. Perfect. Great. Thank you, guys.
All right, thanks, Flora. I think Emmett has a great presentation lined up for us at the next DWAWG. Close. Okay, next up, we have the emergency preparedness and response section with Irina here and some new staff.
Good morning, everyone. It's good to see you here again. My name is Irina Kashnivsky. I'm a section manager for the emergency preparedness and response section. I don't have any program updates to you this morning, but I do have a few staffing updates. Since as of October 1st, we welcome our new special assistant, Tamara Young. Tamara is here. Tamara has been with the agency for 17 years. She started as a program coordinator at the remediation division. Later, she was moved to the municipal solid waste section. And more recently, she worked as a program coordinator at the radioactive materials division. So we're all excited to have her on board. Welcome. That said, our section has 2 open positions. One is a program coordinator and the other one is the engineer 5 position. Now let me give you also a quick overview of our 2 teams and their programs. One team, the first team, resiliency and preparedness team, manage a few programs, the FMT program, financial, managerial, and technical program. And we all know that this program offers free assistance. We also, they also manage emergency EPPs, emergency preparedness plans and drought program. So if you still need to develop a new EPP and don't know how, please let us know. We can use the FMT assistant program to help you to develop the plan. Another team, we call this team Taxes Optimization Program and Response Team. So this team offers technical assistance and support to public water system. They also manage few programs. One of those programs is Taxes Optimization Program. And again, Taxes Optimization Program offers free on-site and remote technical assistance. They also manage, this team manage capacity development program, cross-connection and backflow prevention program, and other programs. So we have a lot of interesting programs, a lot of free programs, free assistance, so keep this in mind. In addition to those teams, our section also coordinate the Public Drinking Water Recognition Program and Homeland Security Program, which includes cybersecurity. And I hope that each program, each public water system has already developed a cybersecurity response plan. We discussed that on previous DWAWG meetings, and this plan should outline what step are going to do if cyber incident happens. Let me say this differently. What step your system is going to perform when the cybersecurity incident happens. So we stop using if and we are using when. So keep this in mind. If you need any help with this, please let me know. And that's all from me today. So feel free to reach out if you have questions or need support. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay, one additional update on CrossCon. Catherine wanted me to update everyone that the next meeting is December 4th of 2025, and that we are currently working on updating the RG 478 on that CrossCon program. Okay, next up, we have a new team with us. Yeah, exit the spotlight. The innovative sources and treatment team update. And Winji, who is our new team leader, who started October 1st, is here with us today. So Winji, if you want to hop on.
Yep. Can you hear me, James?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Hello, everyone. This is Winji-san. I think pretty much for most people outside TCEQ Audit Division, this is the first time to see me. So I just joined TCEQ, like less than 6 months ago. So I'm the team leader for our newly formed team innovative sources and treatment team within our water supply division at TCEQ Office Water. So I'm glad I have the opportunity to kind of briefly introduce my team, the object to our team. So our new team was, created by, our agency tried to, with a goal to advance the our one water strategy, managing water, wastewater, beneficial reuse, as well as the emerging contaminant, with the goal to promote the resilient sustainability of our water across Texas. So as I just mentioned, this new team, currently we have 4 existing members, 2 experienced natural water resources, and 2 senior engineer. Additionally, we have 3 engineer positions to be filled, pretty soon, hopefully, as we continue building our team, set up the solid foundation for our technical system training, as we continue expanding our expertise experience, so we can provide the system training to all the water, wastewater facility in the near future. So currently our team is focused on 3 priority areas, not limited in the future, but just currently have a 3 top priority. Number 1 is the wastewater operations team. As Arena just mentioned, our top program, which mainly focus on the public water system. So the new wastewater operations team will, do the similar thing, but transfer to the wastewater, practice field. So we offer the financial, managerial, technical, assistance to help our wastewater treatment facility to improve their, process management, affluent quality, as well as the regulatory compliance. So second areas will focus on the produced water management. So we will evaluate the treatment strategy, build up the regulatory framework related to our produced water, while at the same time to ensure the environmental quality at public health related to the produced water management. So the third one, but not last one, is the emerging contaminant management, especially the PFAS, topic. So we will coordinate with the program across our division and in our agency, try to, advance the monitoring, treatment strategy, as well as the permitting and compliance related to the PFAS. So this is a really good opportunity to collaborate across program and to work on this hot topic, especially PFAS in water, drinking water, and wastewater perspective. So I think that's all I try to update it. So the team is continue develop our team, our program. I'm really excited the opportunity to work with all of you including our internal program as well, especially, the water wastewater facility you guys online. So feel free to reach out to our program if anything we can be, help to provide technical assistance or training to your staff, either remotely, either, on site. So I'm excited about the opportunity to work with all of you. So I'll stop here. Anyone have any special question for me?
Any questions in the room? No, I think you're good. Thank you, sir.
All right. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Okay, last but not least, we have our quality assurance update. Jessica is not with us here today, but we do have Scott with us, who's new to our division and is one of our new and extra quality assurance managers. Scott?
Sure. Hey, y'all. I started October 1st, so I'm going to be with Jessica helping out with some QA stuff. No major updates. I think the biggest one is just that the PWSSP QAPP is in progress. It's with the agency QA staff. So we'll probably give a lot more information at the next meeting. And I'll throw the email address if y'all have questions for any QA related stuff.
Thanks, Scott. All right, any questions for QA? Nope. Okay, so we're a little bit ahead of schedule, so we're going to take a short break here. We're going to come back at 10 a.m. and Ryland Fields is going to walk us through drinking water viewer, and then after that, we're going to talk a little bit more about the lead and copper rule improvements. So we'll break here and come back at 10. Thanks, everyone.
All right. So I only have a couple updates on Drinking Water Reviewer. One is that if you've been using it at all, you may have noticed that some things have moved around. That's because our contractor who's working on it is doing some work to bring it into compliance with the new federal web content accessibility guidelines. This is all in an effort to make it accessible to screen readers and people with disabilities. So everything should still be there. It's just moved a little bit. The other update is that we will be taking down Drinking Water Watch and the CCR generator at the end of this year. So come January, you won't have any choice but to use Drinking Water Viewer. As part of that, we will have CCRs available to the water systems just as a draft template going into the future. And then we will also be generating CCRs for anyone who hasn't completed it this year, so that those can also be available to the people who need those. You can reach out to the PWS CCR at tcq.texas.gov mailbox if you need any of that information. Mostly, I'd just like to open it up to questions if anyone has any.
I have a comment. So I just used this yesterday for the first time, and I entered, I was conducting searches by the water system name field, and I looked for a partial name. I found some results, and then kind of had to go down the line of the initial results. But when I hit the back button, it kind of reset to fresh, and I had to enter the name over and over again. Would it be possible to hold to click the back button and have the original, results display?
I don't know, but I can take a note and ask the contractor.
Thank you.
Yeah, so how I've been getting around it, because it does do the same thing, is that I just right click on it and say open in a new window when I'm searching. So it just opens a new window and then you can close it out and your search results are still there. But then you have to remember to do it each time. So I'm really good like the first and second time. Third and fourth and fifth gets a little bit sketchy,
okay,
but that's kind of a workaround.
Thank you.
Any other questions on Drinking Water Viewer? Ryan, it looks like there's a question in the chat. Is there a way to export bulk data for a water system by day, week, or for a date range?
Yes, sort of. It depends on what kind of data are you looking to export.
Chemical data. Can you walk us through that, Rylan?
Sure. So I'm just going to do a sample search here.
Click on the other screen. Like, I think it's make it the full screen of his display. Or is that how he's doing it? We're also working on getting the logo a little bit smaller. So that you don't have to, if you don't have a big monitor, it's kind of hard. I mean, we're proud of ourselves, but we'll be for this one.
Yeah, so there's a few ways that you can search for chemical samples. There's the first way is like what Rylan is showing us. You just click on the samples. What is it? Pill, I guess. What are those called? Like label? What? I don't know. Whatever. The like analytes or? Sorry, I've been updating websites and trying to use. They call them pills. Oh. In Webland. So at the very beginning, you search. Yes, the little search. It says samples. And then you can go down and you can do all the samples for a specific analyte, all of the samples that are in the database based on range, type. The second way to search for samples is to go actually into your water system. And so you go into your water system by clicking on the water system pill, which is a search. I don't, maybe I should call them pills. It sounds weird.
That's a hard pill to swallow.
Steven. Steven. And then you can go into your public water system and then navigate to the samples spot, and then you can pick which type of samples that you wanted to. And most of the time you can download those samples also. Hopefully that helps. Kelly, we are working on that with the contractor. So the question that Kelly had was that they tried to export the sample points for a system, but it's not always available to do a download of it. Of all of them, you have to kind of do a download for each specific page. So if you have more than 100 sample points, more than whatever, it sometimes is not quite easy. So we're working with the contractor to try to make that streamlined throughout all of them, that you could do a download all.
You can also expand out here at the bottom. There's items per page, and I think by default it will be a fairly small number. So you can expand that out to, I forget what it is for sample points, but oftentimes it's about 1,000. And then you can also use these ellipses under each column to narrow the list down, so you can narrow it down by sample point type or something that way.
And then one of the other questions is will all the legacy sample results be loaded into this? This pings off of our internal CIDWIS database. So whatever is on Drinking Water Watch is going to be available on Drinking Water Viewer. So all the sample results are in there and available to download.
Thanks
no
for
more copying and pasting from like a weird table into like another weird table. That's blue and yellow. And
looks like there's another question in the chat while we wait for the results to populate. Is there a plan to make it easier to see historical data by analyte code per PWS rather than a list of samples with all analytes associated with the sample? I think you're referring to analyte groups. I'm thinking similar to the chemical results sort by name and code and Drinking Water Watch.
Hyland is probably screaming in his head right now. I don't know if he heard that question.
And I think the answer to that is yes, though we're having some, of course, technical difficulties right now. Ryland has looked up analyte groups, which have those multiple analytes within a group as they're collected by the TCEQ sampling contractor. But you can search by individual analytes using that analyte drop-down list instead.
Well, and I think Jay responded also saying, but filtering, filter under the sample point type, and that way for this particular question, if they're looking for the samples, they can get to that data faster.
Okay, yes, referring to the sample point.
There's also a question in the chat about if all legacy results would be imported or if they would have to start over. And I believe the answer to that is yes, that all.
There's no importing. It's what's in CIDWIS.
Yeah, right.
Yes, that's correct. Like Janelle said, it's the same as Drinking Water Watch. It has the same source. So
you will notice that when, especially like on the page we're currently viewing, it does have a collected between that is going to have a default range presented, but you could always change that if you want to see more results.
Yeah, that's caught us.
You hit enter and you think like,
they're all the results.
It's everything. So
you just have to adjust the range.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
So it is a little bit slower. It doesn't pop up immediately like we did for, or it is for Drinking Water Watch. But we're excited about the download function and a lot of more of the searchability for it, even though apparently it doesn't want to work for us today. So go ahead, Ryland.
This is where the export to Excel would be regardless if it's working or not. So if it were, I could show you that it would export to Excel.
We need to choose like the smallest system in all of Texas to see if it'll work better.
Yeah. Ryland, can you go to sample points and show where that same export field is?
Sure. So, I mean, you can search by sample points, or we could search by a water system and it would probably go a little bit quicker.
Yeah.
But you know, in the search, you can always try and limit this down to limit your data set out. Let me go to a water system and try and get to it that way. And I'm going to pick on Palestine.
The best number.
My favorite one to pick on. Things.
If you guys don't know, their PWS ID is 0010001. So we pick on them a lot. So you know.
So I searched for water system. When I open it up, you can see it up at the top here is where it has the sample points. And then here, of course, is the export to Excel again. But like I said, you can try and limit these out by, say, sample point type or, you know, facility ID would be like DSO1, like Jay said.
I think, Jay, thank you for answering that question in the chat. There's a reference to counties and parishes in Drinking Water Viewer. And if Louisiana was using a similar product, then the answer to that is yes. Next question is, for Texas Water Development Board, we look up entities for violations. Can you do a basic demonstration of that?
Sure. Well, while we're in here in this water system, you can see up at the top, there's this violations and enforcement. So you can click on that and it will show any historical violations or current violations. And it will show the status of those violations. You can see it does it by a date range again. And then this just lists out the violation, the type of violation that it is, and then the compliance status. So as you can see, all of these have returned to compliance.
Yes, that's a new feature. I think we talked about that last time, but Laura mentioned there is that public notice column, public notice received column in there as well.
Yep. Did that cover it, or?
I think so. Yes, sir. Okay, any other questions for Rylan while we have them? Okay, thank you, Rylan. I appreciate it. If y'all have any other questions or if you come across anything, please let us know and we will look into it or work with our contractor on that. Thanks, Rylan.
Thank you.
Okay, next up, bringing back Laura to talk about lead and copper fuel improvements. I will pull up the slide deck.
Well, this is a good segue since we're talking about work done by our contractor, GEC, because GEC is also who we've partnered with to work on our the portal that we're using to submit lead service line inventories. So it's the SWIFT submittals portal. Show of hands of folks in the room, anyone already familiar with the SWIFT submittals portal? I know y'all are for different reasons. All right, very good. All right, so it's been a year since the LCRR compliance date, like almost to the day. But we're not done yet because this is a marathon that we're running, not a sprint. So we have reached 1 mile marker that you all turned in your initial service line inventories, but we've got more work to do, and that is preparing for the baseline inventory that is due under the lead and copper rule improvements, the LCRI, that is tentatively due on their compliance date of November 1st of 2027. So for those that are familiar with using the portal already, congratulations, because that will be your means to submit your baseline inventory in 2027. And for those that submitted via email using our previous Excel template, the 20943 form, that has been sunsetted as of last April. And so now you're going to start working on getting used to the new portal. If you haven't registered for an account, please do so. But I want to talk a little bit about what we've been working on. So last year in October was a busy time. I feel like we're all trying to settle our nerves from how that felt. And for y'all as water systems, for us as regulators, it wasn't fun for anyone, really. I don't think anyone had a good time. We got through it though. And so we learned a lot as part of that process. There were things that worked well. There were things that we could have done better. Claire already mentioned as part of her section updates this morning that across the board in our division, we're always working at continuous improvements. Even drinking water viewer is part of our efforts to be continuously improving. So some of the things I want to talk about today are our plans for continuous improvement. We've been working with GEC, our contractor, to make some improvements to the LSLI portal, the SWIFT submittals portal. And I just put some bullets. This is not an exhaustive list, but just to let y'all know where we're at. So up at the top, first and foremost, October 16th of 2024 was the date that I just exhausted myself at every effort was trying to say that date over and over again. The new date to circle on your calendars is going to be November 1st, 2027. So that'll be the date that you're going to hear me say ad nauseum. But as we work towards that date, we've got a little bit of time here, but time moves quickly. So we want to make sure that we're working on resources and providing those to y'all as soon as we can. So we're going to work on updating the portal, the LSLI portal. So some of that is improving the homepage, the user experience, and the accessibility of it. We're trying to make some updates to the user process or the registration process, sorry. especially in regards to how you use special characters when you're registering. I know there was quite a bit of errors that it would give you when you're trying to use special characters. It said you had to use a special character, but secretly there were certain special characters you couldn't use, and it didn't tell you that. So we're working on improving that process. Making more integrated support within the portal, more little help buttons, little features to help you understand what the different fields are asking of you. And then there's going to be some updates that we're working on to the template itself. We're trying to make some updates to the mapping feature. We're trying to maybe add the ability to have a no customer side option, right? In the template, it had your PWS side, your customer side, and if there wasn't a customer side in the initial inventory, it would just mirror those. So it would, but that sometimes can give you the false impression that there really is a customer side, even if there isn't. So we're going to try and make that more accurate. And then some other things about, of course, as part of the federal requirements, including required information for connectors. That had previously been an optional field, and we had phrased it more in terms of asking for information on lead connectors, but under the LCRI, it's all connector information. There's 4 different categories that they'd like you to put that in, and that's a required field now. And then we had talked about this as an intention for the initial inventory, and then once we knew that there was going to be yet another rule improvements, we kind of put a pause on it, but making an automatic tiering calculation. So the tiering criteria under LCRI has changed a little bit from what was in LCRR. So making some automatic tiering. So as you include your service lines, it'll automatically tell you what the new tiering structure would be. Like, is this a tier 1? Is it a tier 2? So on and so forth. And that's hopefully just a nice little feature for systems to not have to do that guesswork themselves. And then also adding some fields to assist with material, the validation. So under LCRI, we now have the concept of a validation process. If you've used pretty much any other method other than record review or visual inspection to determine the material of a service line. So if you were, say, using a predictive model, a metal detector, any variety of other technologies to determine that material, the LCRI provides a process creating a validation pool, then doing a 2-point visual inspection of a set number of sites within that validation pool. So we're adding in some features to be able to allow for that in the baseline template. So all of that is to say that we would like to provide that to y'all sooner rather than later, because we know folks, you know, as I said, time keeps ticking along. 2027 will be here before you know it. So we've mentioned this in past vlogs that our goal is to be able to provide that to you guys by, we were shooting for November. We'll see. We've been working with our contractor on making some of these changes. I think updates to the homepage are already in process. But just to be fully transparent with y'all, what they've told us is that anytime we have something that we'd like to change, from the moment that we bring it up to them to the moment that you can see that actually reflected in the portal, could take somewhere around 10 weeks. So we want to work with you guys as our stakeholders to make this thing the best it possibly can be. And we know that we're human beings and we don't always get it right every time, but we're working on things. So I'm hoping that some of the things that I've bulleted here are good improvements that you agree with that should be made to the portal. I know that I'm probably going to finish talking up here today and y'all have so many other ideas for us to implement. But just know that any new ideas might delay the implementation of a new baseline inventory template a little bit longer. If we were shooting for November, it could push that back. Not to say that y'all don't have great ideas that we, you know, should and will work towards, but any of that could delay the implementation longer. And let me tell you why we were shooting for November. James, will you do the next slide for me? So again, I said I'm a visual person. Now, this is not an exhaustive timeline. This is just to help us have a conversation. But we're going to start at the very left side, we are here. We are in this DWAWG meeting right now, or hello into the future, those of you watching on YouTube. It is October 14th, 2025. We are hoping to be able to offer that baseline inventory, I'm saying winter 2025. And that's really to help prepare folks for the next due date, which is that July 1st, 2026. That's the next time that certificate, Stephen mentioned in his updates for his section, certificate of delivery that you've delivered notice to customers affected or being served by a lead, galvanized recurring replacement, or unknown service line. That's an annual requirement. So if you have any of those service lines, you have to do another round of notices, and that certificate of delivery is due. If you did, there was one due this July, there'll be another due date next July as well. So if we can offer a baseline inventory template sooner to you guys as the regulated community, you have the option to submit an updated inventory. There's not a compliance requirement for you to submit an updated inventory just yet, not until we get to November 1st of 2027. But if you voluntarily submit an updated inventory, as we hope you're working on, remember, these are living documents, you're working on your unknowns, if you're working on replacing your lines, you're not delaying that work, then hopefully you could cut down the number of notices that you have to submit by showing us that you have an updated inventory that has, less in the columns of lead, galvanized recurring replacement, or unknown, and more in the non-lead category. I know in talking to a lot of y'all that, especially our larger systems who had quite a few notices to deliver, doing public notices of any kind is, if y'all don't like talking to us, doing those notices is even more painful. You get a lot of, so in order to try and help y'all cut down on the number of notices that y'all have to submit, we're hoping that providing a baseline inventory template sooner so y'all can start working on that would be a benefit to everyone. I hope that's how that is felt. What else? Oh, and then just lastly, put that LCR compliance date. That's the new date to put in your calendars, November 1st, 2027. That's when the baseline inventories are due to TCEQ. And the other two big bullets I put on there are the replacement plans and the lists of your schools and childcare facilities. Those other two bullets are something we're also working with GEC to possibly provide through our LSLI portal as well, through the Swift Submittals portal. So hopefully, as you get to know the portal, it will be eventually our one-stop shop for submitting all of these different documents to TCEQ. We haven't figured out quite how that would work yet, but that's something we're planning on, just to be transparent with y'all on some of the things we're working on. If you did not register for the portal yet, or if you tried in October last year, you gave up, you said, I'll come back to this later. I'm talking to you now because this is a great time to reintroduce yourself to the portal. Especially, we'll make some announcements on our website. We'll try to be transparent about when that baseline inventory template is now available. We'll work to make some workshops and talk people through how to use it as those new features become available. But while we have this time period, let's learn from last year and not be teaching ourselves, 30 days before the due date. We've got about 2 years right now. Let's start learning now. Let's do this slowly over time so that we're not in a rush down to the very end. Hopefully by allowing, by making this available, folks can start working on it, get familiar with using the tool, ask all your questions. Let's make it better. And then hopefully 2027 is just easy breezy piece of cake, which no one has ever said in regard to the lead and copper rule ever, but a girl can dream. So any questions on that so far?
Yes.
Yeah,
There's some questions in the chat.
Go for it.
There was a question regarding providing a link to register for Swiss submittals,
Okay,
which Jay posted in the chat.
thank you, Jay.
I think there may be some issues with the login, so just reach out to us and let us know. Will there be a way to designate a public water system as a wholesaler?
Within the portal itself or within like our database?
I think the question came up when we were talking about the portal.
Okay. That is interesting. Just to designate that they probably don't have a lot or any service lines themselves.
I think so.
That's an interesting thing. Stephen, maybe you and I can talk with GEC about how we would handle that.
For instance, Tarrant Regional Water District has 0 retail connection.
Right, yeah. Okay.
Texas Municipal. Those are just.
Yeah, that's a fair point. All right, let's, yeah, we can bring that up and brainstorm.
I mean, there's probably a lot around the state. I just know what's in North Texas, but yeah, I mean, for Trinity.
Right. Yeah, that there's not a lot of information that they're really providing because they don't have a distribution. Like
they have 0 distribute. I mean, their distribution is large lines to other cells.
Yeah. Okay.
Stands last.
So we'll look into that one, and I don't have the username on here, but if you can reach out to us, we can respond to you as well. We can talk about it at the next WAWG.
My last slide, just FYI, will be some contact information to reach out to. So we'll throw that up on the slide in a second.
Next question is there an update due this year for added service lines to the system? And Janelle responded, as Laura said, next service line inventory submittal is the baseline inventory, which is November 1st of 2027, but you may want to get started on that beforehand.
Yeah, and you can update your service line inventory all day long.
The portal will let you update it. If you wanted to make a daily update, you could. Go ahead, Steve.
So one of my questions, especially for large systems, is there a way to archive the
Pascal? Oh, yeah, it should still be in there. You can
let us do a fresh update of the baseline because we have to touch every line because we have to add connection information. And if our system has changed and ours have, where we no longer have some connections, it actually truncates that line. So if I add something, like if I add a connection, it's going to keep the previous line. So I have to literally go delete every single line.
Yeah.
Instead of just doing an upload of the actual inventory itself, which would be a cleaner process and it would be easier for us to track any issues. Because if you got 300,000 lines,
I think that's
a similar issue that got brought up at PDW too. I think City of Denton or another larger system that had, like not just adding lines, but removing of lines and
things. Lines go away.
Yes.
As redevelopment occurs.
Right.
I mean, they don't exist anymore.
Right.
And there needs to be a way, I guess, to note that in there.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, it's not something I think when you think about this assignment holistic, like it's not the first thing you think of, but it is absolutely something that is.
It's not just that they get added.
Yeah.
They do, but anything being added actually should be non-lead on both sides.
Yeah.
So that's the easy part, but there's a lot of redevelopment that goes on.
Or even as the boundaries of your water system change, that some go off to another water or break off, or that's not part of your distribution anymore.
Right,
but that's right, because I mean, we're involved in some CCN.
Right. There's issues like that
now. Right.
But Stacy, what you're saying is when you're trying to migrate that in, it already has that line accounted for. And so when you're trying to migrate it in, it's not matching, and so it's bouncing it out?
Yes, because the one thing that we noticed is I can't go in and add a connection. I have to add every single column in that line item to add the connection. So I have to put the address, the service ID, the material, and the connection information. I can't just go in and change the connection. I have to literally add
a new one.
Okay.
So that means,
but it is a new one.
Yes, but that means you have to touch every line. So it would be easier if we could just do a fresh upload and archive that.
So from what we understand, when we do the switch over, you should be able to download your existing inventory into the new template. And then you'll have the template, and then you'll be able to add the connectors into the template.
But I think,
That's not what she's,
and I'll have to verify, I think it truncates. So it keeps your original and then it adds these up. So which is gonna change, I mean, it's hard.
It changed your overall number.
It changes our overall number of connections, number one. And it's hard to find an error.
Yeah.
If you're looking at two lines for the same thing. And especially when you got 300,000 lines, so now I have 600,000.
yeah, I think we would like to
Yes,
connect with
pursue
you
this.
guys. And see
Yes.
if we can.
and
We need to make sure we understand what you're saying, and then we need to talk with our contractor, and make sure that they understand what that need is.
But I know some of y'all's issues that you've had before, and I think we're interested to make sure that y'all are.
talked about that, yeah.
What else, Jen?
All right, will the system be able to alert if an address was entered as a duplicate? And Jay put in the chat, the Swiss submittals portal does alert you of duplicate service lines by the unique service line ID, but not by the address, because there may be multiple service lines at the same address.
Yes.
Okay.
And that's something that I think, as Jay's spoken to, that we've been working with the contractor to improve since your initial inventory submittal.
The certificate of notices that were due July 2025, was this based on the initial October 2024 submittal?
Yes.
And they have to redo it this year.
Yes. Yeah. So
Next year.
So that's a fun quirky part of the rule that, yeah, when you submitted your initial inventory on October 16th of 2024, you had 30 days as a water system to conduct that public notice to your customers if they were served by a lead galvanized replacement.
Not just me, thank you.
Or unknown service line. But then you had all the way till July 1st to submit that certificate of delivery to TCEQ, a really long runway for that. And then that July 1st due date is now an annual requirement. So yeah, the 30 days, then the annual certification is a little bit strange, but there will be another one. So we just have passed July and we'll have another due date next year as well.
Okay. There was some clarification on the chat. On the drinking water viewer, there is a login button at the top of the page. There is no login for external folks for drinking water viewer, but there is a login for Swiss submittals. So make sure you're looking at the right page. The next question is referring to, are letters still required to be sent in November for the lead and copper rule revisions?
So there is not a compliance requirement necessarily from TCEQ side. Our requirement is that you certify that it was delivered by July 1st on 2026. So the rule says you have to submit that notice to your customers annually, and then you have to submit the certificate of delivery by July 1st.
Yeah, so the 2025 delivery of the Girlaroos, the galvanized requirement replacement, lead and unknowns, is due anytime between January 1st, 2025 and December 31st, 2025. And then you will certify that you sent it out the next July. It follows the same as the CCR.
I understand, right?
So there's lots of dates, but call us if you're confused.
Let's see here. For systems that do not update their inventory portal this year, when are the annual notices due? For GR lead and unknown, and Janelle just answered that question. Can we get a timeline from the beginning? I think I'm missing something or notice. It's regarding the notices again.
We can work on a better visual. Like I said, this visual is not all encompassing. The intent today was to talk about the baseline inventory, and yep, we've, as usual, let's go.
Perfect. Can you repeat when the 4 categories will be applied to enter for the connector?
So when you turn in your baseline service line inventory on November or by November 2027, by November 1st, 2027, it now requires information regarding connectors. And so there are 4 categories that they would like you to put to sort all the connectors. So it's either you have a lead connector, you have a non-lead connector, it's unknown, or there is no connector present. So that no connector present can also apply if you have no records or no means to say that there is a connector here at all. So one of those 4 categories.
Next question is, are unknown service lines allowed in the inventory, baseline inventory due November 1st, 2027?
They are. It is still a category for your service lines, but once we cross that LCRI compliance date threshold, there are now mechanisms in play to make sure that you are reducing the number of unknowns as well as lead and galvanized requirement placement over time. So that the clock is really going to start. So always encouraged to be proactive in, turning those unknowns to knowns, and of course, replacing any lead or galvanized replacement that you find. But yes, of course, unknown is still a category. It's still an accepted category.
And the last question I believe here is the recording going to be available? Virtual attendees should have access to the recording once the meeting has ended and Microsoft does its thing. The YouTube recording should be available within 2 weeks. So I'm going to pull out.
And then feel free to move to the next slide. Is our contact information if you'd like.
I'm going to pull back up the slide deck here. And there is some contact information.
So the last thing I just wanted to mention, because I think it's been a subtle theme of today's DWAWG, is about continuous improvement. So you've heard from all the various sections and different program areas about new things that folks are working on, changes that are happening. TCEQ is always, and especially us within the Water Supply Division, are always working on things to help the regulated community, whether it's, different websites, portals, process improvements, trying to ease the way that you interact with us. But I just had a moment of clarity, or just, I don't know, an aha moment the other day where I realized it's like we spend a lot of time internally, like planning and thinking about, oh, we need to make an update to the website, or, oh, we need to turn that into a graphic and post it and share that or, oh, we need to do these different presentations, and, oh, we can be more electronic, we can be streamlined, we can be faster, we can be more efficient. And all of that to say, I just wanted to just go on the record to say, if you haven't felt it, the way that you interact with TCEQ is changing, and hopefully for the better. But there's a lot of stuff, that we're working on or coming up with. Sometimes we have conversations with folks that it's like, well, when did that happen? I've been in this business for 40 years and I'm used to doing it a certain way. And I just want to say that way might be changing. Not might, is. We're moving to a lot more of electronic means of communication. So expect more email communication from TCEQ. We're using a lot more proxy boxes. We have a new phone menu system, hopefully to be able to get you more accurate, the staff that you need to talk to immediately will be able to assist you as soon as possible. Hopefully these are all features that improve your relationship with TCEQ, but it's change. All of it's change. So if you're used to dealing with us in a certain way, just expect some change. I know we already had a PDW whole conference on navigating change, but the way in which you interact with TCEQ is changing too. So I know, probably the folks that need to hear this message the most are not in this room, are not on a computer, do not have email to be accessing this information, but we're going to keep trying to repeat that message. Because we really are here to help. We are here to make, the resources that you need to get the job done. But if you're sitting around thinking that somebody will reach out to me if something goes wrong, more proactive. We're trying to be more proactive. We encourage our water systems to do the same. We're making some really cool tools. If you haven't checked out our website, if it's not bookmarked on your computer, like Drinking Water Viewer is going to be really cool. We're making all sorts of updates to our websites, coming out with new stuff. The portal, the updates to the portal, to the LSLI portal are going to be really cool. We hope you stay tuned for more because I'm excited about what we have to come. And with that, thank you. Any other questions? Yes.
Once we submit the baseline inventory, will connectors play a role determining whether the line is classified as a
no. Yeah, the connector information does not play into your classification of the service line, and they don't interact with your replacement rates either. So it's just a separate requirement, but they're two parallel requirements. They don't intersect.
And I got another question more about that, the new software that you got using the viewer, and also now we're RTCR samples.
The CMDP,
But in the past, we had asked about updating our monitoring plan, and so we constantly have to update it, and they said quarterly was enough. But now that everything is electronic, we are supposed to match what's planned. But so we keep doing it quarterly, or you guys want to receive it before we try not to sample for that sample point that is not already, but sometimes.
And we're talking about your monitoring plan, not your sample siting plan, right?
Well, they all go together.
It's part of the other.
A siting plan to the.
Yeah, I mean, I might have to talk to our monitoring plan folks about.
I mean, I can speak to it. I don't think that you need to do it more frequently because in the data system, it's based on the generic sample point, right? So you'll always be able to report the data. Now, if you're having changes that are frequent that would impact your monitoring, then definitely need to update the plan. But I don't think you need to submit it to us, but quarterly. And Andrew Nido is an amazing person, but I don't think he could handle it.
I just wanted to check because now that it's electronic, it's easier to.
Yeah, that is true. And we are having to adapt our systems because if you're reporting through CMDP and your sample point isn't in CMDP, this is mostly happening with lead and copper, some with the chem stuff, that it's bouncing it out because it won't take anything for which we don't have.
That's a great point, Stephen. Can I reiterate that for a second? Okay, so I mentioned CMDP earlier, but there's a lot of different aspects to CMDP that some people, there's like, oh, this bouncing back, I'm getting errors. It's like, those are features, not bugs. So one example of that is there's rule language right now in our Texas Administrative Code for the lead and copper rule that says you need to sample during the monitoring period, you need to sample from pre-approved sample sites. We have a lot of water systems that do not sample from pre-approved water sites or from pre-approved sample sites. They submit their samples and then it bounces back and they're like, oh, well, can you go ahead and approve that for me? Because I already sampled from it. So if it's during the monitoring period, the practice right now is that the team has been working with us. In the past, we've been working with folks to get sites approved if they want it approved. As we go into the lead and copper rule improvements, that language slightly changes. And it says that you need to have sites pre-approved before the start of the monitoring period. So it means that the team is going to slowly start cranking up the stringency on how we are working with systems, that it is going to become more important that you have pre-approved sites before you go and monitor. So that the CMDP kicking out those sites that aren't approved that's a feature. That's a feature for us to make sure that the quality of data in our database, we know for sure that that was a pre-approved site. Previously, like it would just come in and we would work with folks on the back end, but that's going to be more proactive now that it just won't come in. So water systems need to do their due diligence to make sure that that's done ahead of time.
So we've made doing your due diligence easier though, because we've made those sites now available on Drinking Water Viewer.
Yeah.
So at Drinking Water Watch, they weren't visible. And Drinking Water Viewer, they will be visible.
Yes.
So everybody cheer all at once.
It was a subtle rollout, but if you haven't noticed, if you haven't played around with Drinking Water Viewer, the lead and copper sample sites are now available on Drinking Water Viewer.
So that, I mean, that alone makes Drinking Water Watch or Drinking Water Viewer worth it.
It is a nice feature.
So that all changes when we do the baseline inventory, because your tiers definition change.
Yeah,
so is that gonna be updated? Because if the baseline is due in November of 27, we're required to monitor in 28. And so that means that all those previous locations may change depending on the tier.
Yes, we've been working with GEC to figure out how we can do that as painlessly for everyone. If we can do some of this auto calculation, do any kind of migration for folks, work with our systems in advance, that will be a huge initiative for us. But the other big component to all of this work is, you know, we're always waiting for EPA's guidance on how they suggest that we do this. And unfortunately, I'm sure you're all aware that there's a government shutdown right now. So getting answers from them on how the tiering is going to work is not happening at the moment. But yeah,
I guess the question for me would be in the database. I can't remember the name of it.
The Swift Submittals portal?
Yes, the Swift Submittals. Is there a cap on how many locations we can put in there? Because for some of us, if the house is vacant, we can't sample. If the customer denies us access, we can't sample. So we usually have more than 100 locations.
Yeah.
So will there be that way we don't have to keep coming to you, ask you for.
I think our database will hold up to 1,000 sites, but you know, the tiering, like automatically tiering the sites, like having it tiered for you versus having it be part of your pre-approved pool can be two different things, because we know that you're going to have way more than 1,000 service lines. So yeah, which ones you want as part of your pool, I think that will be stuff that you'll have to work with the team to figure out. And as always, we've recommended that folks have a little bit more in their pool to account for the folks that don't want to participate.
Okay.
I know that's a huge struggle, and it's definitely something I think that when we were reading the rule, it's like, how is that going to work? But it's something, you know, again, like no time like the present to start working on those things.
There was one more comment, I guess, about updating some timelines and stuff. So we linked the lead and copper rule revisions webpage in the chat, and we'll keep on working on updating that. And one more additional clarification is there an inventory update due by the end of the year in order to send notices for GRR certificates? And Janelle has put the answer in the chat. Again, no inventory updates this year unless you want to. And then you are required to send out notification for those situations to customers by sending a certificate of delivery by July 1st, 2026.
Thank you all for asking questions. Like I said, lead and copper rule is not an easy rule to understand. So by asking questions, you're paying attention. I would be surprised if you didn't have questions. So thank you for your questions, and a huge shout out to the folks helping in the chat. That makes my life easier. So thank you.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Laura. All right, so that brings us to the close here. Just to reiterate, virtual attendees who should be able to access the recording today once the meeting closes out and it processes. On YouTube, the recording will be available within 2 weeks once we've done like the captioning and accessibility updates for that. Looking forward for future DWAWGs, I will pull up the dates real quick. DWAWGs in 2026 will be available both virtual and in person unless something happens to the building, and which we'll update you then. But our dates for the 2026 DWAWGs are January 13th, April 14th, July 14th, and October 13th. So that's the second Tuesday of the first month of each calendar year quarter. If that makes sense. Again, and I'll post it in the chat as well. So January 13th, April 14th, July 14th, and October 13th. And I will put that in the chat. We will be doing the virtual registrations the same way we've been doing for these webinars. I think that's been working out pretty well. We'll have the new registration link up for the January meeting by the end of this month. You'll see an updated link to the January portion. So keep an eye out for that. And if we have your email address, we'll reach out to you as well based on previous registrants. Any questions? Okay. Thanks, everyone. I appreciate all the questions and the good feedback. We'll close it out there. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.